On day 1, I spawned in as a cursed dragon. I was somewhere inside of a large, evil castle with a witch standing in front of me.
At last, I have created the Cursed Dragon! You will help me curse the entire world.
Curse the world?
Yes, creatures like you and I have been shunned by Minecraft. They must pay for this.
The witch commanded me to fly off and use my powers to spread the curse. I took off and headed towards some houses. I was worried about a fight because I only had 3 hearts, but I knew I had to try. There was a group of players standing right in front of me.
A cursed skeleton dragon? Ah!
They took out their swords and started to charge me. Ah, please no! I suddenly used my dragon breath, and it converted all of them into ghoulish monsters. Whoa, that's awesome. I'm far more powerful than I look. Spreading this curse is gonna be a ton of fun. On day 2, I arrived at a large kingdom with my cursed mobs by my side. We entered and started to spread our curse to all the villagers.
The legend of the cursed dragon is true! The witch has returned!
I blasted them with my cursed breath and started infecting the other mobs with it as well. After cursing them, I suddenly gained 5 more hearts. It looked like the more people I cursed, the stronger I became. I decided to venture throughout the rest of the kingdom. I was able to find some cobblestone and wood, as well as some food. I started to command my newly acquired army to follow me. While I was flying off, I spotted a small rat running from the kingdom. Anyways, I have bigger things to curse than that little guy. As my army traveled away from the kingdom, we came across a large open area. This seems perfect for my base of operations. I dropped the material to some of the cursed creatures, and they got to work constructing me a base. Another group of creatures went out and defeated some sheep for wool. They then returned to me with a bed. Once my base was finished, I commanded my army to go into the world and curse more of it for me. This is incredible. I already have a base and an army? Man, I placed my bed down and began to feel tired. Ugh.
One day, son, you'll defend these lands just like I do. I just know it.
Dad? Ugh. Who was that? Are there more dragons out there? Man, I have to go and see the witch about this. On day 4, I returned to the witch's lair, and there were cages full of prisoners.
Bozo, just in time. I need you to curse these creatures for me now!
Of course. I immediately blasted all of the cages with my breath and cursed them. After cursing the prisoners, the witch grew a little in size. The witch was happy with the progress that I've made and rewarded me with a set of bone tools. Tools? What am I gonna need this for? The witch told me to go off and retrieve an item for her, and in return, she will share more of her power with me. Sounds like a plan. On day 5, I was traveling toward the location the witch had given me. She mentioned a very specific black and red urn I would have to collect. Along my travels, I spotted my cursed army attacking a castle. It made me so proud to know that my army was still hard at work. Suddenly, a rat came rushing towards me from the castle. Wait a minute, was that the same rat? These guys seem to be all over the world. Hey, stop!
Now why would I do that,
The
huh?
rat told me that he just left one kingdom and now was forced out of this one by a bunch of undead ghouls.
Name's Buster. Everywhere I go, people just don't want me around. What did I ever do to anybody, man? I'm just trying to live a life.
I thought about using my breath to curse him, but I decided against it. He was an outcast, just like me and the witch, so I felt a connection with him. Listen, here's the coordinates to my base. You can stay there. Buster thanked me and set off toward my home. I continued on my journey and eventually came across a large structure. This must be the place that the witch told me about. On day 6, I entered the structure, and there were some kind of strange-looking villagers inside. They had guns and began to attack me. I blasted the creatures with my cursed breath, but it had no effect on them. Huh? Was this what the witch was talking about? I took out the bone sword the witch had given me and began to fight back against them.
We defeated the curse once. We will do it again.
Ah! Stop it! If I can't change you, then you must be destroyed. I started dodging the creatures' attacks and managed to defeat all of them. I then started to feel strange, and suddenly I grew into a full-size dragon, and I noticed that I had 20 hearts. But then I began to feel sick and
Hide, now!
Dad, what's going on?
You will never get away with this.
Dad! bad. What are these memories I'm having? I don't have time for this right now. I need to get that item. I found the urn and picked it up. Awesome. I hope the witch is pleased with my accomplishment. I flew away from this place. I wonder who those people were and what they wanted. Man, that's for another day though. On day 7, I returned back to my base and saw Buster was fighting with one of the cursed mobs that was there.
Hey, buddy, I didn't take anything away from you, all right? Get away!
Whoa. Break it up, guys. I separated the two of them, and the cursed creature walked away. I decided since he was there, I needed to make a place for him to stay. We got to work constructing a house for him. Once we finished, I realized because of my size, I wasn't going to be able to fit in my own house now. The two of us continued to build my base to fit my new size. Afterwards, I knew Buster was going to need to eat something. I got to work collecting seeds and created a small farm for him. Buster then said,
Here, Fozo. I lied. I took this from him.
he dropped me a cursed helmet. Hey, thanks. This is gonna come in handy, but maybe don't lie, all right? I realized that this guy wasn't that bad after all. I told him that I had to go see the witch and deliver her an item that I went out to get her.
Witch, you say? How do you know that you can trust her? Witches are people that you can't really trust that often.
No, I told him that we worked together and she brought me into this world. I had no reason to think otherwise. Buster just nodded his head, but I decided to ignore it. I headed off toward the witch. On day 8, I made it to one of the witch's new hideouts, and she was waiting for me. Whoa, she's definitely getting larger. She told me that now 1/4 of the world has been cursed. We're that much closer to cursing the entire world.
It seems you've gotten bigger as well. Do you have the item I requested?
Yes, I do. I gave her the urn, and in return, she cast a spell and gave me a new ability. I wonder why she wanted that urn and why it appeared as though those people were guarding it. I didn't have time to ask questions because the witch told me to test out my new ability. I jumped in the air, and when I landed, I sent out a cursed shockwave in all directions. Wow, this is so strong.
Yes. And soon you'll be the most powerful mob in the world.
I then asked the witch about the memories I thought I was acquiring. She told me that I need to do one more thing for her, but it's going to be much more difficult.
I will tell you what you want to hear once you do this for me.
On days 9 to 10, I made my way into the jungle like the witch had instructed me to do. What was I looking for? I came to a clearing when I heard a loud roar behind me. I turned to see a large jungle beast emerge. The cat started to charge at me, and I stood my ground using my breath to curse it. It didn't seem to work, and the beast hit me really hard, taking away some of my heart. I started to fight at him close range to weaken him while trying to avoid his attacks. I jumped in the air and used my new shockwave ability to weaken him. I used my breath on the beast again, and yes, the beast transformed into a large black cursed beast. I told the beast to link up with the rest of my army. As he headed off, I realized that although I felt like the strongest monster, I was far from it. I was going to need to get some serious upgrades if I wanted to lead this army correctly and fast. On days 11 to 12, I went inside of a cave and started to look for iron to finish my armor set. I continued deeper inside and eventually found some iron. Once I collected it all, I smelted it and used it to create an iron set of pants and boots. This should be much stronger now. I made my way out of the cave and suddenly got ambushed by the strange villager hunters I'd seen earlier.
Kill the dragon for the resistance!
Do you really think you guys stand a chance against me now? I started to fight them with my tools until I realized, oh no, there's too many of them. I blasted the hunters with my cursed breath and was actually able to convert most of them to my army. One of the hunters managed to avoid the attacks and said,
Stupid dragon, do you really think that bad breath of yours is helping the world?
I don't care what you think. You have shunned people like me from this world for too long. This was the right thing, right? All these people deserve the curse for how they treated us. I need to find out who these people are and what exactly is going on. I flew toward the witch, wondering if what I did was right. I returned to the witch's hideout, still thinking about the events of the previous day. Who are those people?
Bozo, so good of you to return. Did you complete the task that I had given you?
Yes, I converted the beast, but there's still something far more troubling. The witch told me that she was proud, but wanted to know what bothered me. I told her about my encounter with these strange hunters and their accusations against us. I asked if cursing everyone was the right thing to do.
Of course it's right. right. Those monsters are responsible for so many of our people, including your parents.
My parents? The witch told me the resistance hunted down my parents and ended them for being so different. I was filled with so much rage. Where are they? They must be destroyed. The witch told me that their base was a castle not far from here.
Now go, Fozo. Destroy the resistance and avenge your parents.
I won't fail you. I flew out of the base, ready to destroy everything in my path. On days 15 to 16, I made it to the castle the witch mentioned. As I landed inside of it, the people started running around in a frenzy. The curse is back! We're all doomed! Who are these people? I needed to get some answers. Aren't you guys responsible for the death of the dragons? The citizens still ran from me, and I was frustrated. I managed to catch one of the citizens. You guys are the ones responsible for killing my people.
No! We had nothing to do with the disappearance of dragons!
He explained that dragons were sacred to their people. I wasn't sure if I believed him, but he told me that there was an ancient library that could confirm what he was saying. He also told me that there's other information about the curse. The curse? I remembered all the people I'd seen screaming about the curse returning.
Yes, don't you know how much your curse is destroying the world?
I flew off toward the library. One thing's for certain, I need to know the truth. I had been flying for a while when I spotted my army. I noticed that they had grown in size since the last time I saw it. Wow, you guys have been busy. Because of my cursed breath, more creatures have joined the witch's army. If I kept spreading the curse, our army would be unstoppable. One of the soldiers in the army approached me.
So, where should we go next?
If I took them to the library with me, it would be a hassle. I couldn't just let them go around and attack more people until I had my answers. I flew over to the army and issued a command. Cursed army, return to the witch and await for further orders. The army obeyed me and made their way back to the witch. Good. I flew off from the army and landed in front of the library. Now I can finally get some answers.
You there? What are you doing back here? And where is Fozo?
The dragon has ordered us to return here while he ventured elsewhere.
What are you up to, Fozo?
On days 19 to 20, I made my way throughout the library looking for answers. I kept looking around and found a book. It was about the witch. I read the book and found out that the witch was so curious about magic and spells and decided to experiment on all the villagers, some of which helped, while others seemed to have drastic results. She refused to stop her work, and as her ambition grew, the villagers had no choice but to banish her from the village. Before she left, the witch vowed to curse everyone who has wronged her. The book also told me that the witch continued her experiments and made enemies with other creatures, like dragons. Dragons? I tried to read more of the book, but it didn't have any more value. If she was enemies with the dragons, why would she create me? I knew something was off, but I wasn't sure who I could believe. I had to talk to Buster and see if he could help me. I flew off back towards my base. On days 21 to 23, I flew back, and Buster was there waiting for me. He had a strange look on his face. What is it? Do you have something to tell me?
Yeah, while you were gone, I know how much you liked your armor, so I gathered this from more of those boneheads over there.
Buster dropped me the rest of the cursed armor set. Thank you. I really appreciate what you've done for me. He could tell that I was down and asked me what was going on. I caught him up on the information I'd found at the library. So she was expelled from the village for her less than conventional practices. I don't know what to believe.
I tried to warn you, but you didn't want to listen to me, man.
He continued to say that rumors of the cursed witch had been heard all around the world before I even showed up.
It seems as though the rumors are now confirmed, man.
How could I have been deceived by this? I was tricked into spreading this witch's curse, and it was never about me, but rather her own selfish wants. I flew off to confront her. This ends now. On days 24 to 26, I returned to the witch's hideout. It appears as though the cursed army was not here. Where could they have gone? Witch, what in the world is this curse that you've been spreading all over the world? Isn't this curse the reason you got banished from that village?
How dare you look into my past? You had no right.
I have no right. You're the one that's been lying to me. This curse isn't helping anyone. You need to stop all of this right now.
stop. I'm just getting started.
The witch blasted me and sent me flying through the air. I guess I have no choice but to take you down. I blasted her with my cursed breath, but it had no effect. The witch laughed and hit me with a stronger spell. Ah, she's so strong.
You foolish dragon. No one will stop me from cursing this world. Not even you.
I needed to escape. I used the rest of my strength and flew away before she could deal any more damage to me. I couldn't fly anymore and crash landed into the ground. I felt so weak. Ugh.
You will never win as long as my son exists.
I have a plan for that.
Dad!
Come, dragon. I have big plans for you.
On days 27 to 29, I woke up and realized that witch was responsible all along for the death of my family. I noticed that in my fight, I lost some of my hearts. I only have 10 now. I had doomed the world by spreading this curse and strengthening all of her powers. What had I done? There were screams in the distance, and I rushed towards them. I came across a large village that was under attack from my cursed army. I commanded the army to stand down and stop attacking it. They looked at me and refused to listen. I noticed they were turning all of the villagers into cursed skeletons. I landed and tried to defend the villagers using my abilities. I realized not only had the witch taken away some of my hearts, but also I didn't have any of my cursed powers now. I had to fight the army using my weapons, but they were not very effective. I flew into the air and spotted skeleton villagers. Why are you helping us? I told them I'd seen the errors in my way and wanted to help him out. I asked the villager to follow me back to my base and he would be safe. The villager agreed and hopped on my back as we flew off. I returned to base with the villager and noticed that something looked different. There was a group of skeleton cows here. Buster approached me and said they had wandered by while we were gone, and he built them a place to stay. I thanked them for giving the creatures shelter and told them that we had more work to do. We got to work building a place for the villager to stay in. He was grateful for me sheltering him at my base. Once we finished building, I started to talk to Buster about what could be done to fight back against the curse. He told me in the past there was a resistance that formed together to defeat it.
Last time I heard, they had some kind of like headquarters, but these are just rumors, dude. I don't know if they're true.
Without any other leads, this seemed like my best bet to set things straight. I headed off toward the old headquarters.
Rise from the ash and be born again, Zilla.
What is thy bidding?
There is a dragon I want you to kill.
On days 33 to 35, I was traveling toward the location of the old Resistance headquarters when I came to a thick forest. I began to travel on foot to make it easier to spot anything, but all of a sudden, I started to hear rustling in the trees nearby.
Time for you to be ended, dragon!
I was surrounded by members of the Resistance. I had seen these people before. Wait, stop! I told the Resistance members that I wanted to help. I was tricked by the witch and need to make things right. The Resistance members told me that they didn't believe me, but noticed I was far weaker. They decided to take me to their leader. They led me to a massive base with a large interior. Standing before me was the leader of the Resistance, who introduced himself as Marky. I told him I wanted to help and defeat the witch. She killed my family.
If what you're saying is true, I will give you a chance to prove yourself through actions.
He told me that when they had defeated the witch in the past, she was not nearly as powerful as I made her now. There has to be something that we can do. I refuse to believe that what I'd done was irreversible.
There is something you can do for us. Go and retrieve our magical scroll.
Marquis explained to me where I could find the temple containing one of the most powerful pieces of magic that had ever been created. I thanked him for the opportunity and headed off. On days 36 to 38, as I made my way towards the temple, I heard something calling my name. What was that? I landed and spotted a giant, monstrous-looking creature.
So you're the dragon the witch has told me about.
Witch? She must have summoned him here just like me. The demon told me that he was on a mission to destroy me and continue to spread the curse. The monster immediately attacked and tried to bite me. I tried to fight back against him, but I dealt no damage. I realized my cursed tools seemed to have no effect on him. He attacked me again, and I noticed that I was taking even more damage as well. I was down to 1 heart and knew I wouldn't last any longer, so I had no choice but to fly off and escape.
Run away all you want. Soon, you will meet your demise.
Man, I need to get some new gear if I want to survive in this cursed world. I made it away from the creature and landed near a cave. I knew I was going to need to get rid of these cursed tools if I wanted to fight back. I used the tools to gather iron and created a set of iron tools. Afterwards, I created a chest plate and tried to equip it. To my surprise, I wasn't able to put it on. What's going on? I tried to take my cursed armor off, but it seemed to be bound to me. Great. I'm stuck with this stuff now. I couldn't think about it. I had a mission to complete. I made my way to the ancient temple Marky had told me about. Once I entered, I was entrapped in a magical cage.
The curse shall never be able to enter.
Ouch! What was that? I realized I was starting to get hurt. What was this place? The voice spoke again.
Prove your worth.
I was starting to rapidly lose hearts. I didn't have much time. I spoke to the voice, and I told them I now know how wrong I was to spread the witch's curse. As I finished speaking, the cage vanished and turned around to see a pedestal with a strange item on top of it. I collected it, and yes, it was exactly what I was looking for. I headed off from the temple. On days 42 to 44, I returned to base and found Buster. I showed him the scroll and told them about the powers it possessed.
Wait, you can save curses now? Prove it!
The rat and I went to the cow pens, and I used it on the skeletal cows. Immediately, the cows turned back to normal. It works. It really works. We walked around the base, and we both discussed the possibility that this scroll could restore everyone that's been cursed.
Why don't we try using it on one of those villages, huh?
That's a great idea. We visited the cursed villager, and I tried to use the scroll on him. Sadly, it didn't cure him, and I felt bummed out about it. The rat told me not to worry because there's still hope thanks to this cloth. I knew he was right, but I was still upset that I couldn't save everyone right now. The villager approached me and said, I really am missing my family. I felt his pain. I was missing the family the witch had taken away from me too. I told him to come with me, and I would look for them with him. We flew off together. On days 45 to 47, the villager and I flew across the land and eventually came across another village. He told me that despite the curse, he hoped his family still lived here. We searched the village and were able to find them. The villager ran towards his family, and I can tell that they missed each other. As I watched the family, I really started to grow sad thinking about my own. How many families had I separated by spreading this curse? I knew what I had to do. I needed to remove this curse from the world to protect families like theirs. I told the family to return to my base. It was safer there. After I watched them leave, I flew over to meet with Marky to show him I'd proven myself and obtained the scroll. I showed him the scroll, and he was impressed to see that I was able to beat the protectors. He was starting to come around.
I don't know much about dragons, but I do know someone who does.
I knew we had to work faster though, so I asked him if he knew any way I could cure myself of the curse and restore more people. Marky dropped me a map and told me hopefully I could find the answers I'm looking for there. I thanked him for helping me.
No, thank you, Fozo. We can't do this without you.
I flew off following the map. While I heard screams of villagers. I noticed that there was a huge army of cursed soldiers being led by the witch. They were attacking a city. I told her she was wrong, and I had to find a way to stop her now.
You do know that scroll isn't going to do anything.
How did she know about the scroll? She told me that she already knew about my plans and that they were futile.
It's too late, Bozo. Soon this world will be completely cursed.
If you think I'm gonna let you have your way, then you've got another thing. Ah! The witch immediately shot me with a spell. She was getting stronger, and I had to leave now.
You won't get away with this. I already have. The witch will be pleased.
On days 51 and 53, I arrived at the location that the map had directed me to. It was a massive temple. What did Marky want me to find here? I headed inside, but the place looked totally abandoned. Is anyone here?
Another dragon?
I turned around to see a large dragon standing behind me. Who are you?
My name is Alden. I feared I was the last of our kind. Long ago, the witch hunted us down. Dragons hold the balance of this world, and she feared we would be able to stop her curse.
I told them how she tricked me, but I was working for the resistance and wanted to help. I already had the scroll, but it wasn't effective. I needed more. Alden told me that some of the ancient dragons that lived before this time had left scales from themselves around the world.
Maybe with those, you can restore your breath and reverse the curse that is on you.
Reverse my own curse? I want nothing more than to bring everyone back to the way it was. I thanked him and left. I started my journey to find the first dragon scale and noticed that more of the curse was spreading throughout the land. I don't know if I'll be able to stop this before it takes over the world, but I must have hope. Everyone is counting on me. I continued flying and saw that a village was being attacked by the witch's cursed army. I wish I never created this. I flew down and protected the villagers from being cursed. It was clear my iron sword was much more effective on them than my cursed weapon was. Once I was able to defeat them, all of the villagers gathered and looked at me. Oh no, are they going to attack? The villagers approached me and thanked me for saving them. I was shocked, but appreciated them. Thank you, you once evil but now good dragon. I told them to stay safe and flew off. You know, it felt good to not be seen as a monster. I finally arrived at the desert temple and began my search for the scale. On days 57 to 59, I entered the desert temple and began to look for anything that could resemble a dragon scale. There were strange spirits haunting the temple. Are these part of the witch's army? What are they doing here? The spirits rushed at me and began to attack. I tried to calm them, but they wouldn't listen. I had no choice but to fight them off. They didn't pack too much of a punch, but in numbers, they were strong. Eventually, I was able to defeat all of them and continue to search the temple. I moved through it and came across a room with what looked like a dragon scale in the center. I quickly grabbed it, and the scale combined with my scroll. It felt like a surge of power, and wow, I have 15 hearts. I noticed my boots had changed as well. They were no longer cursed. I tried my dragon breath. Yes, I had a new one. This one was green, and it felt more full of life. Maybe with this, I can reverse more of the curse. On days 60 to 62, I returned to the base and noticed the villager and his family were here. I tested out my new breath and was able to lift the curse from them, turning them back into regular villagers. Thank you so much! I told them that they can return to their village, but they refused. They wanted to stay with me. I decided to use some of the material I had to expand the villager's house and give his family enough space. I was still in the building mood, so I spent some time making upgrades to my house, as well as the farm. We were definitely going to need the extra food with them around.
Hey, Fozo, what's with all the commotion, huh?
I told them that I invited the villagers to come join us here if they wanted to stay away from the curse. The rat didn't seem too happy about that. I asked him what was wrong. He told me that with more people coming to base, he felt like I would forget about him. I told him not to ever think like that, because I would never forget him. He was my best friend in this cursed world.
Yeah. Thanks, Fozo. I really appreciate that.
Suddenly, a member of the resistance arrived at my base.
Fozo, we need your help.
He then died, and I knew they were in trouble. I rushed back to the resistance headquarters. On days 63 to 65, I made it to Marky's castle, and the place was completely destroyed. I flew around, and all I can see was destruction and fire. I finally spotted Marky and flew down to him. What happened?
The witch, she found our location and destroyed our entire operation.
He told me that he was surprised because the witch wasn't this powerful before. This isn't good. If this keeps up, the witch will be unstoppable.
You are our only hope, Fozo. We must work faster before it is too late.
I told them to send any survivors to my base. If this location was compromised, they would be safer there. Marky told me where I could possibly find the next dragon scale. He knew one of the ancient dragons made her home at an ice temple. I thanked Marky and told him to be careful. I flew away from the castle and headed for the temple. I flew up the mountains and felt something familiar about this place. What was it? I landed and found a dragon's nest, but it was destroyed. I walked around the nest and I instinctively knew what this place was. Was this
Your home.
I turned around and the witch was right behind me. She told me that she knew that I'd find my way here eventually. What are you doing here? Come to destroy more families? Well, not today, because I'm stopping you.
Oh, Fozo, nothing will have any effect on what has been done, not even dragon magic.
No, I don't believe you.
No matter what you do, the curse will not be undone. You have already lost and you don't even know.
I immediately attacked the witch with my new dragon breath, but she dodged my attack. I won't let you destroy anyone else's home like mine. You took everything from me. The witch laughed and began to fight back against me. I can tell her power had increased since we fought last. I knew if I continued fighting, all of what we were working for could be lost. I realized that the best thing I could do was flee. I flew out and made my way towards the temple. Next time, you won't be so lucky, witch. On days 69 to 71, I arrived at the ice temple Marky had told me about. I made my way inside and began to look for the dragon scale. It didn't take long before I'd found it. Yes! I rushed up to collect it, and it combined with the other and the scroll. I felt a surge of power, and my cursed chest plate was replaced with a new one. I also noticed that I had 20 hearts. This seemed too easy. Like something else had to be waiting for me.
Fozo, I should have expected you were here.
He rushed at me, and we started a fight. I threw everything I had at him using my breath of life.
Oh, so strong.
I was close to taking him down for good, but then left the temple. What was that? Where is he going with it? I tried to rush after him, but he was gone. I thought I finally had him. Ugh, no matter. I headed off to test my new upgrades. Now that I had 2 of the scales, I wanted to test my breath on some of the cursed mobs. I noticed a village that was completely cursed. The village was full of skeleton villagers. I used my breath on them, but nothing happened. Come on, this has to work. I have to save everyone this time. I gathered up all the strength and used my breath on the entire village. The villagers and the village started to turn back to normal. The curse was gone. The villagers surrounded me and thanked me. Thank you, scary dragon. You're not a bad guy. Guys, he's not a bad guy. It felt great to be appreciated for my good deeds. I needed to tell Buster the good news, so I flew back towards my base.
Go! Destroy Fozo!
Yes, as you wish.
On days 75 to 77, I returned to my base and noticed that the resistance had arrived. Buster told me while I was gone, they showed up. They immediately started to construct houses for themselves, as well as help the villagers with their homes.
You know, you're kind of a hero, Fozo. Word of you has started to spread around the world, and everyone is motivated everywhere.
I asked him what he meant, and he told me that more and more villagers were starting to believe the curse could be lifted. That's excellent news. But how do you feel?
I don't know, to be honest with you, I'm still mad at them for how they treated me. Always making me feel like an outcast and all.
Hey, look around at everyone here. Things are gonna change. How much a few simple acts of hospitality brought joy to all of these people? We just gotta keep it up.
Yeah, you might be right, Fozo, but...
He was interrupted by Marky running over to us.
The witch's creation is terrorizing a nearby city. You have to save those people.
I told Buster our conversation could wait and rushed off to save them. On days 78 to 80, I confronted the T-Rex demon in the city. Your reign of terror ends now, Zilla.
You fool! I'm nothing more than a pawn in all of this.
The monster told me that soon the witch will reach her final form, and there's nothing I could do to stop her. Yeah, we'll see about that. Our fight began, and Zilla charged at me to go in for a bite. I immediately dodged his attack and knocked him back. I was much stronger than I was before, so I knew that I could beat him, but it just won't be that easy. Zilla tried to curse me, and I lost 5 of my hearts. I blew my purifying breath and greatly injured him.
You will never win, Fozo. You've already lost.
I shot my breath on him again and finally defeated the T-Rex demon. Good. Now I needed to go and find the witch.
Now this world will finally be cursed!
On days 81 to 85, I arrived at the witch's lair and began to search around for her. Where could she possibly be? As I looked around the base, I started to search through her chest, and to my surprise, she had a dragon scale. As I grabbed the scale, it combined with the others, and suddenly, I gained another 5 hearts, and my pants converted too. How did she get this?
It was your father's. I took it from him when I defeated him.
You're a monster. I will never let you get away with any of this. And now that I have all my scales, I'm going to stop you.
You're too late. I have everything I need to reach my final form. Nothing you do now even matters.
She began a fight against me. I had everything I needed and knew there was no way I would stand a chance against her now. I rushed away from her and headed somewhere that I hoped she wouldn't. I flew away from the witch and landed on the mountains where I used to live. I started to wonder. I had all the scales. Why am I not a regular dragon again? I tried to use my breath on myself, but it had no effect. How come I just can't break my own curse? Had all of this just been a waste of time? Instead of defeating the witch, I let her become so powerful to the point where now I can't stop her. I heard a strange noise and saw a flash of light. Suddenly, my father was standing before me.
Your heart, son. That is what makes a dragon what we are.
My father told me that the witch had taken my heart to create the curse that was on me. And if I wanted to return, I'll need a new heart. Wait, Dad, how will I be able to bring you back as well, though? I need your help to defeat her.
There is no way to bring us back, son. We are already gone, but you can still save the world.
My father told me to head back to my base. Someone was waiting for me. Before I could say any more, he vanished. Wait, no, Dad! Oh, man. I hoped that he knew what he was talking about. I headed off towards my base. On days 91 and 94, I returned and saw everyone gathered around. I looked and saw Alden had arrived at my base. Alden, I thought you were too weak to travel.
I could sense the world needed me to do so.
He continued to say that although I cannot bring my family back, I can use his heart.
With my heart, you will be able to save the world. You just need to believe in yourself.
The old dragon said he had lived in fear for too long and wanted to make things right. Alden passed away and dropped his heart in front of me. No, I was stunned, but I knew he believed it was right. I collected the heart and I felt so strong and powerful. In a flash of light, my curse was lifted and I returned to a normal dragon. I noticed that I had 30 hearts and all my cursed armor had been converted. I was cured. Marky and Buster approached me, and we began to formulate a plan to fight back against the witch. If I was able to restore more of the world, it might weaken her enough and give me a fighting chance to defeat her.
Good luck, Fozo.
Be careful, buddy. Come back alive, all right?
I will, Buster. I will. On days 95 to 99, I left the base and began to travel from village to village, lifting the curse from each area. I made sure I went far and wide to reach as many villages as I could. As I left, villagers cheered for me, calling me their savior. It felt great to lift the curse and restore things the way they should be. But all of a sudden, as I was looking for more villages, I spotted the witch's army moving, and it was far larger than I'd ever remembered. I began to fly over the army and fight back against them. As I used my breath, I noticed that many of them were changing back. The cured people began to fight back with me, and I told them to let me restore everyone. With one large breath, I was able to convert everyone back to normal. One of the resistance members approached me and told me that I needed to end the witch now before she was able to create another cursed army. You're right. I'm running out of time before the witch uses her abilities to curse everyone. I need to stop her now. It was day 100 as I arrived at the witch's base. I spotted her and noticed that she seemed weaker than when I last saw her. It's over. You have lost. I have already defeated your army, and I'm gonna defeat you too, if I have to.
I will never surrender, Bozo. I created you, and I will take you out now if I must. This world will be my cursed dream.
Never! She shot a large spell at me, and I nearly dodged it before rushing at her with my own attacks. As I hit her with my dragon breath, I noticed that she was growing smaller and smaller. This must be the secret to defeating her.
This cannot be. You cannot win.
I'm fighting for more than just my own selfish purposes, witch. But you wouldn't know what that's like. I kept attacking her and could tell that she was growing more and more frustrated.
Bozo, now is your chance. She's weaker than she has been.
I could hear my dad's voice guiding me through the battle and saw her growing smaller once again. I told her to give up because it was no use anymore.
I will curse you!
So I used my dragon breath one more time on her and took her down for good. The curse had been lifted across the world, and now it was time for a new beginning. On day 1, I was assembled as a robot dragon. I was standing in front of a scientist who said,
It worked.
there was a large explosion and a group of soldiers came running into the lab following a tank.
Capture the robot dragon. It'll be our perfect weapon against the world.
The soldiers started to attack me and the scientist. I was scared and didn't know what to do.
Run and hide.
I only had 5 hearts, so I did what I was told. I had to find another way out, and whoa! I have TNT cannons? I blasted through the other wall and started to make a run for it.
Do not let it escape. I need it for my robotic army.
I turned around and saw they had captured the scientist. I wanted to help, but I was too afraid, so I kept running. On day 2, I continued to flee from the general's soldiers by running through a thick forest. I didn't seem to be able to lose them, and eventually I found myself in a corner. Oh no, how am I gonna get out of this one? Leave me alone! I used my TNT cannon on the soldiers and was now alone in the forest. Ah! What's going on? Did I just short circuit? Oh man, am I running out of power? Wow, I defeated all of those people. I began to walk off, hoping to find someone who would help me. On day 3, I entered a large city and began to walk through the streets. At first, it looked like all the villagers were terrified of me.
It's Dr. Mecha's newest creation.
Doctor who? Was this the man who created me? No one answered.
I want it. It's mine. Give me the robot.
The villagers are starting to fight back against each other. Why are they fighting? Is it because of me? All of this fighting started to terrify me, so I started to run away from them as fast as I could. Wait a minute, not running. I was flying. I looked down at all the villagers that were still fighting each other. Whoa, I'm like 20 feet above them. I didn't know I could fly. I flew away from the mob and got away from the city.
Hey, Dragon, over here. Dr. Mecha sent me.
I spotted another robot standing in front of a tunnel. I wasn't sure if I can trust him.
Do you really have any other choice?
You're right. I followed him into the tunnel. We kept going through it and eventually ended up in a large laboratory similar to the one I was created in. What is this place?
This is another one of Dr. Mecha's laboratories. Our creator. Follow me.
Our creator? Wait, you were created by him too? I followed him into another room and was amazed. There were so many schematics and equipment.
I am NRG. I was created by Dr. Mecha too, the first of my kind.
I began to look at the documents and found several writings that describe the general's plans for a robotic takeover of the world. That's that same general that I saw on day 1. I continued to the room and found Dr. Mecha's journal, and the journal detailed very specific instructions for upgrading myself. Mecha must have left this in case he was captured. I told NRG that I was gonna have to go follow these directions that were left for me. The little robot told me to be careful on my journey. Thanks, NRG. I'll see you in a little bit. On day 5, I wanted to find Dr. Mecha, but I was worried that I was still too weak. I decided to follow the instructions for the upgrades and found myself approaching a military base. Why would my upgrade be here? This place looks dangerous. I started to search the base, looking for the blueprints that were detailed in my journey. As I was looking, I walked past a room of soldiers. What are they working on? I tried to get a closer look, but... oh no. I gotta run. I started to run away from them, but they activated the alarms and everyone was on high alert. I had no choice but to fight back against them, and after a while, I took them all down. I don't want to harm people, but it seems like this world is filled with violence. I went back to searching. The next instruction detailed a machine that looked like... oh, there it is. I attached a schematic to the machine and then got inside. There was a large flash of light, and whoa, I'm big now, and I have 15 hearts. I should go find NRG and show him my upgrades. On day 6, I was flying back toward Dr. Mecha's lab when I spotted NRG standing in a field. What is he doing out here? I landed near him. Hey, why aren't you at the laboratory?
The soldiers came and raided it. They took everything.
He told me that as he was fleeing, he saw the laboratory explode. How could those monsters do that to his home? Do you think they're after us? Oh man, we're definitely gonna need a place to stay. I was wondering, how was I gonna be able to collect materials? Wait a minute, my upgrade, it gave me a mining tool. This is so cool. I had the abilities to shoot lasers from my body to collect resources. Once I had enough, NRG and I found a good spot. We got to work building a house for myself and then began constructing one for NRG.
Thank you for all your help. Sure good to have a new friend.
No problem. I sure was happy to have found someone around who didn't want to attack me or try to buy me. On day 7, NRG and I started to formulate a plan that would free Dr. Mecha. And also, why were you created? I mean, what do you do?
He made me as an experiment for his son.
Where is his son?
I am not sure. I was programmed to be his son's best friend and companion, but I have not seen him in a long time. You see, I have no free will at all. I am only capable of being kind and trying to make people smile. You, on the other hand, are different.
Wow, isn't this guy just the sweetest little thing? We started to think together. There had to be a way we can get Dr. Mecha back and find his son as well. Hey, do you know about any other laboratories that they could have taken him to? He said that the only ones he had seen were where I was born and the one that was just destroyed.
I have been to his headquarters once before.
He explained to me where the city was that contained a large tower with an M on it. I guess that's where I'll start looking. I headed off toward the city. On day 8, I arrived at the city. As I approached it, I could see the building with the M. Wow, it was even more incredible in person than I had imagined. Wait, what's going on? The building was exploding and collapsing right in front of me. Yes, sir! These guys again? Ah! I was filled with so much rage. They had destroyed my only lead in finding Dr. Mecha. All of the soldiers who stood no chance against me. Once they were all defeated, I looked around and saw all of the villagers running in terror, afraid of what I was capable of. Am I really just a monster that was built for destruction?
Robot Dragon! Dr. Mecha passed through here with General Vulcan very recently.
I turned and saw the mayor of the city approaching me. He told me that he recognized the logo on my body and he had to offer his help. I thanked him and flew off in the direction he told me they were traveling. On days 9 to 10, I continued on my course, but I started to hear a strange beeping sound. Suddenly, I noticed that I was running low on power. Hey, watch out! Watch out! I landed on the villager. Oh no, I'm so sorry. The villager was just crushed on the ground.
Oh, will I tend to my crops now?
The villager was defeated. Everywhere I went, I seemed to just harm people. I need to be more careful. I tried to fly off, but couldn't get very high off the ground before landing again. With my power so low, I wasn't able to fly anymore. I was gonna have to continue this journey on foot and hope I found batteries and Dr. Mecha. I was starting to feel very weak and moving slower and slower, but I spotted a structure in the distance. I made my way inside and realized it was a factory or a warehouse of some kind. Hello? Is anybody here? It appeared to be totally abandoned. I started to search the chest to see if there was anything inside. Whoa, that's a lot of weapons. Did this belong to the military too? I kept opening chests, but they were all filled with guns. Finally, I found a chest with some batteries in it. Perfect. This is exactly what I needed. I continued to search the warehouse, but found no signs of Dr. Mecha, and there were still no clues that would help me locate him. At least I found the batteries. I looked around at all the cases of guns and was worried what the military was gonna do with them. I decided it was best to wreck all the chests that contained weapons. I need to stop that stupid military from using them. I flew off back toward my base, confident that I made the right decision. On days 13 to 14, I returned to my base. Man, I still haven't been able to find Dr. Mecha. I told Energy about my run-in with the villager and the warehouse. He reassured me that everything was gonna be okay. You're right. To clear my mind, I started to work on my base and expanded it. I added chests as well as furnaces for later. When I finished, NRG approached me and said,
Look at what I was able to create.
he presented me with a robot creation of the villager. This is incredible.
I have evolved! Thank you for my upgrade! Robot Villager, off to crabs!
He really was just here to make people feel better. To show my appreciation, I expanded his base as well. NRG was so happy and told me that he had information that might help locate our creator. He said the military was constructing a camp nearby and gave me the location. Great work. You stay here while I go and check it out. I began to head toward the military. On days 15 to 16, I arrived at the military camp. I scouted it from the air to see what kind of defenses they had. I think I should be able to take them out no problem. So I flew by and started to destroy their homes. But most of them started to flee at the first sight of me. I continued to bombard the area, trying not to cause any harm to the people fighting. This sent them all running. Oh, no, you don't. I landed in front of one of the fleeing men. Hey, I need answers right now. Where is Dr. Mecha?
I swear, I don't know where they took him.
Why don't you just take a wild guess then before you make me mad? The soldier told me that there was a military prison where all the high-value prisoners were taken. He gave me the location and said that's all he knew. You should find a new profession before you really get hurt. The soldier ran off while I flew toward the location of the prison. On days 17 to 18, I arrived at the military prison and noticed that it was heavily guarded. Dr. Mecha must be here. Everywhere I looked, there were soldiers patrolling the areas.
No, I will never.
Wait, Dr. Mecha? Where did that come from? I realized I had an advanced robotic sense of hearing. I flew off toward the location of the conversation. I landed above and saw that the general was talking to him.
You will never get away with this, Vulcan.
On the contrary, soon this entire world will be in my vision. Nothing but robots. The perfect society.
Okay, I heard enough. I used my TNT cannons to blow the roof off of the building. Come on, Doc. We need to get out of here. He hopped on my back, and I began to fly, heading toward my base, when I heard the general screaming.
I will get you, Dragon. Mark my word.
On days 19 to 20, Dr. Mecha and I returned to the base, and NRG was so happy to be reunited with him.
Doctor, you're back. It's so good to see you again.
I'm glad you took care of the dragon like I requested. Thank you for your hard work.
Since Dr. Mecha was now here, he was gonna need a place to stay. NRG and I got to work building him a small laboratory to work in.
I am so happy to have us all back together now. I see you were able to acquire an upgrade I left for you.
Of course. Thank you so much for the upgrade, but I don't think there's any more left in that journal you gave me. Mecha told me that there were plenty more upgrades for me, and he had one in particular that he wanted me to get now. Apparently, there was a cave that contained pink crystals, and if I brought them back to him, he would give me the upgrade. I'm on it. I headed off to find the crystals.
Admiral Thawne, I have a mission for you.
Anything you ask of me shall be done.
On days 21 to 23, I was traveling toward the location of the cave when I saw someone who looked very familiar. I landed to get a better look, and right as I landed, it said,
Hello, Dragon. I am Admiral Thawne, and you're coming with me.
I remembered. I saw him inside the military base while the soldiers were working on him. He started to charge at me. He hit me, taking away a bunch of my hearts. Why would you ever work for that general? That guy is a monster. He didn't answer. He just kept attacking me. I had no choice but to fight back using my TNT cannons, but it was no use. He was far too strong. I flew off toward the cave. Who was that guy? Better yet, what was that guy? I'm just glad I'm gonna be getting an upgrade soon, because after that fight, I need it. On days 24 to 26, I began to search the area looking for the crystals. As I wandered through the cavern, I found some iron on the walls. I collected it and smelted it to create a chest plate, as well as a helmet. This should hopefully protect me better if I run into the Admiral again. I traveled deep into the cave and eventually found myself in a large room filled with the crystals. Yes, exactly what I needed. I began to collect as many of them as I could before heading back toward home. I got back to my base and handed over the crystal to Dr. Mecha.
Perfect, Bozo. This is exactly what I need. I'll get started on that upgrade for you.
I tried to ask him what the upgrade was, but he said that I would find out soon enough. And he rushed into his lab. NRG walked over to me and told me that the doctor knew what he was doing. Okay, buddy, I'll take your word for it. On days 27 to 29, Dr. Mecha told me that my upgrade was ready. I quickly rushed to see what it was.
I created this using crystals in order to help concentrate your mining laser.
He dropped me a large-looking gun in front of me and told me to give it a try. What? No, I don't want to use this. Why is everyone trying to get me to fight? I don't want to hurt anyone.
You need to take this. The world is a dangerous place, and you will need to be better prepared.
Is this what he created me for? And why was he able to make something like this anyway? Suddenly, there was a signal coming from Dr. Mecha's lab. He told me that a city was in danger and needed my assistance right now. I was about to fly off when he stopped me and motioned for the weapon he had created for me. Fine. I reluctantly grabbed it and headed off. On days 30 to 32, I arrived at the city and saw that it was under attack and swarming with soldiers and tanks. I landed. Hey, stop attacking the city. What can you even get out of harming the innocent like this?
General Vulcan has plans for the world. Get the dragon!
The soldiers turned their attention on me. Aw, man. I guess it's a good thing I brought the laser. I concentrated it. And wow, look at that. I got laser vision. It was incredibly powerful, and I was able to take out the soldiers with ease. It wasn't long before I defeated most of them and sent the others running away from the city. The citizens came out and started to cheer for me, thanking me for saving the city. You know what? Maybe I do need to fight for these people.
Yes! We are so thankful for Mecha and his war machine!
Hey, I'm not a war machine. Whatever. I flew off into the air, away from the city. I wasn't a machine made for war. Is that all these people are gonna see me for? I really hope not. I was on my way back toward my base when I spotted the general standing in a field. Wait, what is this guy doing? What do you want?
I want to make you an offer. Join me in my army. Together, we will quickly turn this world into paradise.
Huh, is that what you're calling it, huh? You think a full robot takeover would be paradise for everyone? Think again. He said with his takeover, there would be no more war and no more violence. I refuse. The general shook his head and said,
Have it your way then. Give it to him, BattleBots.
Suddenly, a group of robots came charging at me. Oh no. Vulcan had already created robot soldiers to fight for him. I started to use everything I had to fight them off. I used my TNT breath and laser vision to take as many of them out as I could. I staggered most of them when I heard a beeping sound and realized the laser vision was quickly draining my battery. I opened my inventory and was down to my last battery. I decided it was best to fly off toward base while the robots were regrouping. On days 36 to 38, I arrived at base and explained to Dr. Mecha what had happened. There has to be something that could be done about this. He told me that at the laboratory he created, there were parts for an infinite battery. Wait, you've been working on that? If I was able to retrieve them, maybe he can craft it for me. I traveled back toward where I was created and began to search it. While I was searching, I spotted some strange schematics. At first, I thought it was a schematic for NRG until I realized it was much larger. Was this the schematic for the BattleBots? I continued searching the laboratory, making sure to check every chest I can find until, here it is! I headed back toward my base and handed over the parts to Dr. Mecha. But before he went back inside, I asked him about the schematics I'd found.
Oh, those? Those are just old prototypes for NRG.
But they look just like the bots that attacked me for the general. How is that possible?
The general probably raided my lab after capturing me. It's possible they stole NRG's design and created those bots.
I tried to ask more, but he wouldn't speak up. He just rushed inside to prepare my battery. Man, what is that guy hiding? Whatever. It's best to just stop questioning it. Hopefully, my new battery would be finished soon. On days 39 to 41, I decided it was best to be prepared for any kind of weapon the general could assault us with. I began by collecting some resources and then constructing a large wall around the base to slow down any attacks. As I finished, Dr. Mecha approached me and he had the infinite battery. He dropped it for me and quickly installed it. Wow, I felt so much more powerful. Seriously, thank you for the upgrade. I like this one a lot more, especially because it didn't put anyone in harm's way.
Add these to the wall. I made them for our protection.
He dropped me a bunch of turrets and ammo. What? Why are you so good at making weapons?
I wouldn't think too much about it, Fozo.
I took the turrets and added them to the walls. I guess it was another layer of protection, but man, I don't know how I feel about this. Once I finished, I decided to go out for a fly. I definitely needed to clear my head from all of these thoughts. On days 42 to 44, I was flying around when I was struck with something. I crash landed. What was that? I looked around and saw Admiral Thawne rushing at me. Oh, brother, this guy again? I started to fight back against him using my laser vision, but it seemed to have little effect.
The general gave us all armor upgrades after seeing your powers.
Well, that's not good. I kept fighting with him, doing my best to keep my distance, but he kept hitting me with some strange weapon, and it would set me on fire. Why would you work for the general anyway? Don't you see what he's doing is wrong?
I have no choice. I am programmed to work for the robotic takeover.
NRG said the same thing. Why am I different then?
You're no different than me. You're nothing but a weapon. Ask your creator. He will tell you.
You're a liar! I hit him with my TNT breath and sent him flying away from me. Was I really just a weapon of destruction? No, I need to go and talk to Dr. Mecha right now. On days 45 to 47, I returned back to my base. I demanded that Dr. Mecha tells me more about what I was. Why? Why did you create me? And what is my purpose?
You were created to do great things.
He kept refusing to say anything else. But no, I'm not leaving until you tell me.
What is this obsession with this now?
Everyone keeps calling me a weapon, and all I've ever done is cause harm and destruction. And I'm actually starting to believe it. He began to tell me that in the forest was his family's home, away from the laboratories that only he knew the location of. Mecha said if I traveled there, I would have all the answers I needed. He dropped me a map, and I flew off toward the location. On days 48 to 50, I arrived at the house. It was smaller than I expected, but then again, I was a robot dragon. I entered and started to look for his journal. I found it in a chest, and I began to read.
My son Fozo, the best thing that has ever happened in my life. I built NRG to be with him while I was away traveling for work. One day, he became extremely sick and bedridden, slowly losing his strength day by day. I tried my best to create something that would help him, but nothing seemed to have any effect. Finally, I was out of options. I had to try something that was dangerous and radical. I decided to attempt to infuse my son into a robot, but not just any robot, a dragon. I believe this would be the only way to save my son's life.
How? How was this possible? I was Dr. Mecha's son? I had way more questions than answers. I'm gonna go ask them right now. On days 51 to 53, I landed in front of Dr. Mecha's lab. Hey, I need to talk to you right now. I now understand why you created me and why. Why did you keep this a secret?
I should have told you that earlier, but I was too afraid to. It was a selfish thing for me to do.
Yeah, it was. I'm your son, and man, this is just a lot to process right now. I knew deep down, though, this was the least of our worries, with the general still out there.
I am glad you returned, Fozo. I missed you so much.
Of course, NRG. I'm just glad that you're willing to help me out as much as you are. Dr. Mecha began receiving transmission from another city, but it was quickly cut off.
You need to go and investigate what's going on here.
Yeah, you're right. I'm on it. I began to fly off toward the city as fast as I could. On days 54 to 56, I arrived at the city and saw that it was completely out of power. I then saw the streets swarming with more battle bots. Hey, stop at once.
Acquire all the energy.
They started to rush at me and attack, so I fought back using my laser eyes. I had to make sure my aim was good to avoid hitting any buildings or citizens. I defeated the last one finally. Acquire all the energy? What could they have meant by that? Did the general want all of my energy?
We have been getting reports from all around that the general is symphoning power.
The mayor told me that they got their power from a plant close by. Maybe there I will find the answers that I need. Thank you, Mayor, for the information. I'll get this all figured out. I rushed off to investigate what was happening at the plant. On days 57 to 59, I traveled to the power plant and saw that the military was occupying it with soldiers and robots. It appeared as though they were diverting the power from the station to another location. I needed to get to the bottom of this. I slowly started to make my way around the power plant. I made my way inside the main building. Suddenly, a group of soldiers entered the room and started to fight with me. I kept begging them to put their guns down, but they refused. I was able to defeat them. With the military cleared out, I realized that the main reactor was not functioning. Man, wait a minute. I had an idea. I used my infinite battery to restart it, and it restored the power to the entire city. The mayor is gonna be so excited to hear the news. I headed off. I returned to the city and saw that the power had been restored, but something seemed strange. The mayor was in the streets, already waiting for me to arrive.
Fozo, you cannot have returned quickly enough.
The mayor explained that shortly after my departure, a lot of the citizens began to act strange. I looked around and noticed that they were beginning to group up in the streets behind us. Mayor, it's best if you started to hide. Now, what do you all want? They didn't say anything, but transformed into robots. Wait, what have you done with the real citizens? More advanced robots landed in front of me and said,
"Hello, Fozo. Prepare to be destroyed."
They charged at me. They dealt a ton of damage and appeared as though my laser vision was dealing less to them. I had no choice but to retreat back to my base. On days 63 to 65, 75, Dr. Mecha quickly got to work repairing me, but I began to power down. Ugh. When I woke up, I noticed that I'd gained another 5 hearts. What?
While you were powering down, I worked on repairing and upgrading your metal plating.
I quickly caught him up on the battle and how the city had been taken over by robot citizens. Man, I don't know how this happened, but it seems like this is just the beginning.
Then we should get to work building a safe space.
He was right. We spent the rest of the day increasing our defenses at base. We expanded the wall as well as adding more turrets. Once we finished upgrading our home, Dr. Mecha said he was tracking a massive energy signal close by.
If your theory is correct, this may be where all the energy is being diverted to.
Great find, Doc. I'll head over there and see what's going on. Hopefully, I can resolve it without any more fighting. I followed the signal with the guidance of Dr. Mecha, and I eventually came across a large military factory. Robots quickly began to attack me, but they seemed to stand no chance with my new armor upgrade. More of them showed up, and I was able to take all of them down before continuing further into the factory. I came across a scientist and demanded that he tell me what was going on. What is Vulcan using all this power for?
He's working to make something, but I swear, I don't know anymore.
You are a liar. Tell me before I destroy you with this entire plant. I'm sorry. I'm just angry, okay? Man, I can't let my anger get the best of me. I let the scientist go, and I prepared to destroy the factory. Before I could fly into the air, I was struck with something. I felt myself starting to short circuit. Oh, no. On days 69 to 71? Hey, who's there? Where am I?
Time to join us, Bozo. You were created for this purpose.
No, how many times do I have to tell you? I'm not joining you. Dr. Mecha told me I was created to do great things.
Who do you think created all of our weapons? You cannot be this naive.
What? What are you implying? I thought back to the schematics that I have seen of Dr. Mecha's laboratory and how similar they looked to the battle bots. I started to think of the weapons that I had found in the abandoned factory. Was I really created to be a weapon for the military?
We all were. Now, you just need to fulfill your destiny and join us. You can do it willingly, or you can be reprogrammed.
I told him that he would have to reprogram me then, because I would never willingly put people in harm's way.
Suit yourself then.
I was beginning to lose hope. I guess this is how it ends. I'll become exactly what I've done my best to fight against.
Bozo, Dr. Mecha said you need this.
I looked up and saw energy was there, and he dropped me a new infinite battery. I plugged the battery in and used my TNT breath to break out of the cell. Admiral Thawne must have heard me because he came charging toward me and said,
"You must join us or be destroyed!"
I told him that I would never work with them. We began a fight, and he was still very powerful, but I was enraged from being locked up for so long. I used everything I had on him and can tell I was definitely starting to break through his armor finally.
You truly are a powerful weapon!
I used my laser vision to take him down once and for all. It seemed like he was right after all. I was nothing but a weapon. I called out for NRG, and he quickly hopped on my back. Together, we started to travel home to form a new plan. On days 75 to 77, we landed back at my base. I was furious with Dr. Mecha. You started all of this by making them weapons. All the robots, everything, including me. How can you put me in the most powerful weapon of them all? Now all I will ever be is a weapon, meant to cause destruction and harm to the world. You are a monster.
Bozo, I had no choice but to put you in this creation. I didn't think you were gonna make it otherwise. I gave you something that no other robot has. Unlike all other robots in this world, you are not confined to the boundaries of your programming. My weapons were created to stop people like the General, but they appear to have fallen into the wrong hands. You can be anything you want to be. You can fight and help people, or you could choose to not fight. You don't owe anyone anything. Just know the choice is yours to make, Bozo.
The choice was mine. I'd constantly been listening to what others were saying, and what they told me I was meant to be. I wanted to fight for those who weren't able to fight for themselves. So yeah, I am a weapon, but I'm a weapon meant to protect. So thank you, Dr. Mecha, for giving me this gift.
If you want to help people, there's a place you can go right now.
He gave me the coordinates, and I headed off to go help those in need. On days 78 to 80, I arrived at a small town where something strange seemed to be happening. All the villagers were in cages. Man, what's going on here?
Robot! BattleBots!
I turned around and I saw BattleBots rushing toward me. Not these guys again. I started to fight back against them, this time with the full confidence that I was doing the right thing. These guys were no match for me at this point. After some time, the final one was taken down, and I began to free the villagers. Once they were all freed, I began to ask them what happened.
The BattleBots have been rounding up villagers and taking them away from here, slowly trying to replace us with robots. Gross.
I thought back to the robot citizens that I saw the other day. This must be how they were able to take over the city. I knew that they had to be held somewhere else, but I just needed to find out where. On days 81 to 85, I arrived at my base and caught Dr. Mecha up on what I had seen at the town. Now, we need to find out where they were all being taken. Can you find them? He said it would take him some time to locate the energy signature. He rushed off toward his computer, and I went to go talk with NRG. Hey, with everything going on, how have you been?
I am just happy that our family is back together. You have always been my best friend, Fozo.
Thanks, buddy. You've been a great companion throughout this time as well. After our conversation, Dr. Mecha approached me and told me that he believes he found where the villagers are being held.
This map should take you right to it. But be careful, Fozo. We all need you.
I will. I grabbed the map and flew off to save the villagers. On days 86 to 90, I arrived at a massive complex that the map led me to. This must be where all the villagers are being held. I snuck my way around, trying to locate them. As I made my way inside, I heard an alarm go off, alerting all of the robots and soldiers inside. I began to fight off the robots. I took most of them down, and the soldiers began to charge at me. Stop right there! None of you have to be harmed because of the general's plans, so just leave at once. The soldiers looked around at each other before they began to run off without fighting. Man, that finally worked. Who would have thought? I continued to fight the robots and defeated all of them. I looked around, and there they were. I found all of the villagers and began to free them from their cages. All of the villagers were extremely grateful and thanked me for my help. Don't mention it, guys. I'm happy to fight for you.
Hurry back to the base,
What were all those noises? Oh man, I had to get back to base. Now, I was on my way back when I noticed a group of robots who were making their way toward it. I began to shoot down at them using my TNT breath and took out most of them before landing and finishing the rest off with my laser vision. I got another distress call from Dr. Mecha, and when I was close to base, I saw robots were trying to destroy the wall. I began to shoot laser vision at them. The general must have worked on an upgrade for them. I was starting to lose hearts rapidly. I kept on fighting through it. After more fighting, I took them all down.
Thank goodness you showed up. We didn't think we were going to make it.
We're running out of time to stop the general. His robots are becoming stronger and stronger. Soon, we might not stand a chance against them.
Where is all the power going? Mecha then told me the location all the power had been diverted to. Okay, I need to get there fast. On days 95 to 99, I arrived at Vulcan's military place. It was even larger than I thought it was gonna be. I began to bombard all the buildings from the sky to weaken their defense as much as possible. Vulcan, where are you? He didn't respond, but I was met with some of his most powerful bots yet. These guys were much quicker than the others. It didn't matter. I wasn't gonna give up. Finally, all of them went down. I then continued to destroy the base. Vulcan, where are you? Suddenly, there was a large flash of light coming from one of the buildings. I spotted the general rushing toward it. I gave chase and called out to him. Stop right there. He reached the edge of some sort of pit, and right before jumping in, he said to me,
Game over, Fozo!
Just then, a giant mech suit zoomed past me. Was that Vulcan? And where was he heading? I realized he must be going to my base to take out my friends. That was not gonna happen. It was day 100, and I arrived at my base to see it completely in ruins. General Vulcan had beaten me here. He was destroying everything in his mech suit.
Come on out, Mecha! Face me with your pet dragon!
Leave him alone! I shot my TNT breath at him, staggering him for a second, but he turned and knocked me straight backwards. That mech suit is incredibly powerful.
You stand no chance now, Dragon. You have lost, and my robots will take over this world.
Vulcan summoned more of his battle bots to fight against me before running off to find Mecha and NRG. I fought my way through the swarm of them, doing my best to keep an eye out. I finally was able to defeat all of the battle bots as Vulcan found Mecha.
There you are, Mecha. Game over.
Even if you defeat me now, you will still lose. Bozo will end this.
Before he could attack him, NRG knocked the general back.
Defend Mecha!
I focused all my energy into a laser and shot it at Vulcan, destroying his mechanical suit. It's over, Vulcan. You've lost.
I will never stop fighting. This world is mine.
He took out some kind of energy weapon and began to fire it at me. I had no choice but to use my laser to take him down for good. The world was finally saved and hopefully is a lot more peaceful than it was.